All right, good morning, everybody. If anyone else trickles on here, that'll be great. But if not, I want to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to talk about some of the functions in MLS and the value in using RPR and Realist when it comes to running some numbers, some market analysis, and some reports that we're able to generate. A lot of the people on here I know are kind of a little bit more seasoned in MLS, so certainly don't mean to bore you with anything, but let's kind of run start to finish and see if you can't pick up a tip or two. I'm going to share my screen and sign on to MLS. Can anybody see the MLS screen? Yep. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So everyone understands that when you log into MLS, this is your dashboard. You can change these widgets around, remove them, add some if you want. We've all gone through our menu items up here. I know by habit, we kind of just jump on here to run searches, but there's a ton of different links that are available for you too. And under the admin is where you can actually change your profile. Now, just like you have your Remax profile, you have your MLS profile too. And you might want to jump on there and kind of just make sure it's consistent throughout everywhere. Because when someone Googles your name, you want them to see, that consistent information. So be sure that your MLS profile matches a lot of what your Remax profiles are matching, okay? Or saying about your, especially your mission statement or your vision, your tagline, just something on there that's going to derive a call to action from consumers. All right. Also on your profile, let me jump back there. If you need to access the information for your brokerage, if you clicked on, I went into admin and modify my profile and then view it. When you click on the brokerage name, that's going to pull up all that information we need for that last page of the purchase contract that has the office license and ID, the broker license, broker's name, and email address. Okay. This is also where you can click really quickly to see the office listings. So maybe if you're looking for something for your buyer, always check the brokerage listings first. Sometimes something might jump out at you and you have a personal connection with the agent that's got it listed. Going back to my home screen on the main dashboard here, let's start with a simple scenario. Maybe we have a buyer that's looking for homes in Sharonville, which would be Princeton schools, up to about 250 maybe. So they say to you, hey, Leanne, can you send me a search so I can see what's out there? I'm going to go directly into searches here and into standard. The reason I do standard versus school district is because I want to keep in mind that there's so many people putting information into the MLS. All of our admins have rights. A lot of the agents have rights. And believe it or not, there's not necessarily a lot of required fields. So somebody could leave out some information that the house would still meet your criteria. So it's better to be very broad and vague than exact, okay? Because you'd rather dismiss something than not have seen it. So I run a standard search. I'm going to pull up residential, single family. If you know the SIC codes in the areas, you can type that in here quickly. I know that Sharonville is EO3, but that's also going to give me Arlington Heights, Lincoln Heights, Laughlin, Reading, and Sycamore Township. So let's take all of them. And even though that's not all specifically Sharonville or Princeton schools, I do know that a lot of them are going to cross over. So I kind of want to just see what's out there first. So I'm just going to go with the EO3. I want active. And if you notice, MLS has a new search default, which is under construction and coming soon. If you don't want the under construction, that's why we don't have a check there, but you could check it because otherwise it's going to leave out a lot of new construction possibilities. So I would definitely check the active under construction coming soon. They didn't really give us a bedroom, so we're just going to go ahead and look at up to 250. And I'm going to hit the preview count on the top left just to get an idea how many is out there, saying that there's 5 houses, and I left my minimum at 0, but we all know that's the market right now today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on view results, which is even more the reason to kind of keep the search kind of vague because inventory is so limited right now. They might really be able to consider something that wasn't exactly where they thought they were only looking at to begin with. So with that being said, it's given us back those 5 houses. We've got Laughlin, Arlington Heights, Sharonville, and Reading. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab all of those so I can send them to my client. Now, initially, it's very habitual to just select all and hit email. But what you really might want to consider doing is setting up a client portal. And you can do that just from here, running the search. So I got the criteria my buyer wanted. I run the search, and I'm going to go ahead and set the portal up from here. And to do that, you click on prospecting. And then you want to save it as a new prospect. So I'm going to type in here, and we'll just say Emily McCoy and hit save. This is going to open up your contact card. This is also accessible from the contacts menu across the top here under contacts and prospects. And that's where you're going to find them in the future. But we're starting this portal from the search that we just ran. Excuse me. So she's an active buyer. I do want her name to show up on the report. I'm not going to need a company name or street address there. I do want it displayed, formally from first name to last name. A lot of people skip over that and don't realize what that is, but the consumer sees it. So switch that to first name to last name. Groups, by default, the MLS has set up a number of groups that you can kind of put your leads, your contacts, your clients into. This is not our CRM. So I wouldn't be as very detailed in this because you're also going to dump them into your Bouge, which is your CRM. So for the MLS purposes, we just want to make sure we have enough information in here to keep the search running for you. By default, I put everybody under clients. That shows up in there, and then I just need their email address. If they have a secondary email address, whether it's a spouse, boyfriend, partner, whatever, you can put 2 email addresses in here. You can put 3 or 4 up into here. I'm not going to worry about the birth date, but maybe on the initial date, just so I can have an idea how long I've been running the search for them, I'd put in today's date. I'll get you one, sorry. And then maybe some quick criteria. I'm going to say up to 250, Sharonville preferred. And again, these are notes just for myself. Here's where we get into the meat of the search. I do want it on auto prospecting. And it's going to pop up a window that says, how often do you want them to be notified? You want to switch that from daily to immediately. Otherwise, they're only going to get notified at the end of the day, which is generally around 3 p.m. And you're going to get some very frustrated clients that are just seeing new listings at the end of the day, and they're probably already under contract. So to alleviate that, we just change this to immediately, and then we want to save that. Under the next step here is send the email to the agent. We already get enough emails. I would say daily summary. Send email to prospect. Yes, of course. And for the newly matched, price or status changes. So if they are watching something and it goes pending, they're going to get notified. We don't want to have them to be notified of everything in their rejected listings because they've already rejected it. So don't overwhelm them with emails. If you have a secondary email, you need to change the CC to yes. And then how do you want the format to go? It'd be with a full client detail. And then we do want to select the box here that says client portal. And in selecting that, we're going to have the option of what to keep in their cart. This is a lot of listings that move along really quickly in MLS. You know that yourself. So I would uncheck all of these so that they're only seeing the coming soon, under construction, and active. Because they're not going to really be maintaining this portal or cart as well as you or I would. So you don't want them to see a bunch of listings in there and that they really don't catch the status of. So keep it clean and keep it to the active only. Reverse prospecting. Reverse prospecting is an awesome tool for sellers and listings, not so much for buyers. The MLS captures every search that you put into the MLS. Even if you're not necessarily saving it, it captures your data entry, and that creates that reverse prospecting. And if this box is checked when you're setting up your client contact card, it's going to notify anybody who runs a reverse prospecting search that you've ran that search. And I'll show you that in just a minute, how those results are beneficial. But as for buyers, I uncheck the box. I don't need to have that coming back on me all the time. I'm going to get it from showing time. So I uncheck the reverse prospecting when I'm setting up the client portal. Here's where the searches are going to appear. Now, this section is also important when your client creates their own search. That will also show up in here, and you'll be able to see what criteria they put in, because maybe they told you in the beginning they wanted specifically 3 bedrooms, and then you see that they've created a search on their own for 2 bedrooms. So that's a little bit of a communication that you kind of need to roundabout and pick back up, but you can definitely see what searches they put in here. The very last section says send client portal activity alerts to agent. I do check that, and I change my hourly to daily. This just lets you know when they're in the portal once a day. So you won't get that notification till the end of the day, which seems to be around the 3 to 5 o'clock hour. But that lets you know that they did access it, they were able to access it, and what they're doing in it, whether they're saving a certain property or type of property or rejecting everything that showed up in there. Okay. Once you have all the information completed on here, we're going to hit save. This is going to show us that there's 5 listings that have matched it, which we know, we ran that search to begin with, and we want to hit add listings to prospect cart. This creates the pop-up of the email invitation that's going to go to the client. This is all editable. This profile, this signature right here is what's set up from your profile, which I said to make sure you had, current. The listing is a link that they're able to access. This is editable throughout here. So I'm going to go ahead after her name, and I'm going to say, hey, Emily, take a look at these and feel free to set up a search of your own we can share. So you can put any note that you want in there, and then you're going to hit send now. If you want a copy of that sent to you, so you kind of have an idea what it's looking like for her in case she calls and says, I don't think I got that email, go ahead and send a copy to yourself. Otherwise, you will get a copy when they have opened it. So I'm going to hit send now. Close that. So that's the client portal that's gone out to her. If you want to see what the client portal is looking like for them, you want to hit the button that says preview client portal at the top. It was blue. We're going to preview it. So when she clicks on that link that said view listings, this is what she's going to see. It's branded to yourself. It's got her name up here very nicely, that Emily McCoy, whereas it was flipped around before. And then it's going to have all the listings that have popped up. And she has access to everything here on these listings. She can click on the photos. She can click on a map. She can see the further details on it. And she can post a comment that goes to you. So posting comments is not anything that's public view. It's between you and your client. So she does have the ability to pull all of this up and kind of look through these property details and either eliminate or let you know it's something that she wants to see. Okay. So that's what they're going to see on the client portal. Any questions on that up to this point?
Leanne, so
yes.
they will receive the coming soon?
Yes, if you have selected this and created it in the MLS, they absolutely will receive coming soon.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on that? All right, we're good here too? Okay. So, all right. Now, what if she were to call you and say, let's go see that house on Vine Street. I really think that might be a good fit. It's 170, it's a 4-bedroom. Great. We're going to go see the house on Vine Street. We've seen the house, and maybe she says that she'd like to actually write an offer, and could you give her a CMA or a price opinion about it? Let's go ahead and dive into that property. I'm just going to click on the number from here. This is going to show me all the comments about the property and all the details that we have access to. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It does need interior renovations. It's a good floor plan. It's got high ceilings, original woodwork, hardwood floors, staircase, possibly a 3rd floor flex room. Unfinished with exposed brick. It's got some decorative features throughout it. Stay close to the highways, downtown. I'm reading through so that when I start pulling up some comparable properties, I'm more in tune with what we're looking at. Kitchen was gutted and plumbed for renovation, the half bath on the 1st floor and the pool bath on the 2nd. It does need the floors refinished and a fresh coat of interior paint. So it does need a lot of work. So let's keep that in mind as we go to pull up some comps here. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to go ahead and click on the RPR button on the left-hand side. RPR stands for Real Property Resource. It is automatically yours. It links directly from the MLS. You shouldn't have to create a new sign-in. If you've never used RPR, it will prompt you to sign in, and it's your MLS login. Okay, So again, that's an automatic integration that you shouldn't have to sign up for, should automatically feed through. The RPR is an awesome resource. This is data coming from the MLS. It's not a Zillow estimate. It's not a Zillow number that's going to come up. This is all from historical data in the MLS. I will show you the listing information over here, the pictures again. It's going to give you a property summary. The numbers that we want to watch on here are the AVM and the AVM ranges. So it has list price here, but it's saying that it feels the AVM is more of a 179. Of course, we don't want to say that we should offer the 179, but it does let you know here that these are estimated values that are generated by the multiple automated valuation models to provide an estimated property value. Does not include the MLS data here. It may be less accurate than our RVM. And I'll show you where the RVM is, but a property is assigned an AVM instead of an RVM when not enough data is available or when the propriety criteria is not met. So the property probably hasn't been listed in a while. So the AVM is going to be maybe a little inflated, but reason why I said pay attention to that is with the houses going over list price right now, if you see an AVM that's much higher than the actual list price, that kind of just lets you know that the appraisal value is probably going to be a little inflated too. So the 179 would be okay to as a ceiling limit on the pricing. Okay. You can create a CMA from here. It's going to ask you to pull some properties, but further on down the page, it's going to give you some facts that it's got on the properties, as well as in the neighborhood. So it's going to have the most recent sales of the property itself, as well as any changes in it, interior features. But here are the medium home prices. This is at neighborhood. And if you choose to generate a report of the neighborhood, this is where the data is going to be coming from. So it's pulling, the changes in the prices by zip code, by county, so forth. The more information that's put into MLS, the more conclusive this report is. As I'm scrolling on down here, it kind of gives you some other details on the house that don't necessarily pop up in the MLS. And this is being taken from tax records and other third-party platforms that the information is available on, such as the auditor, like I said, the tax records. It does maybe to pull some from not necessarily Zillow, but some of the other websites that are available out there. It does have access to Realist as well. But going back up into here at the top menu bar next to your broker's logo, you want to go ahead and click on reports. It's going to ask you what type of report would you like to create for this. I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to create the market activity report so I can see an idea of what's going on in the market. You can personalize the report with your name, your recipient's name, and a message. Let's see what the market is doing in this area. Lee. How do you want it delivered? You want to download a PDF, which would be best, or if you're emailing it to them directly, that's fine too. But if you've never used this before, I would definitely choose to download a PDF so you have an idea what you're sending to them. You're going to run that report. It generally takes, all right, let's see, address. Thought I copied that over. Here's my CMA, 200 East Vine Street. Should be pulling it up. It's not auto-completing for me. I wonder why that's not pulling that up. I apologize. It's not getting some very good data from here. We're going to go with that run report and let's see what we're getting. It's going to let us know when it's ready. That's a pop-up that will come up. Drop you guys down here. On the side view on the right, it's going to give you a preview of what the report's going to look like. And if you wanted to remove any of that information, you can do that as well. And again, your profile from the MLS is going to feed through here. If I click on reports, it's letting me know that it's still pending being generated. So we'll give that a second here. Anyone have any questions at this time on the RPR or the availability of reports that are available? Customizable? Okay. They're very, you'll see this, thorough reports, whether you're creating a seller report, which would be good on a listing appointment. Maybe you wanted to just create a property flyer to take with you. There's my report. When I clicked on that download report, here's what we're seeing now. This report will have a map of the area, because again, we're doing market, so it's kind of encompassing everything around there. It's giving me a snapshot of the home values. The median home value in the zip code is 381,000, which is up almost 3% in the last month, up almost a little over 2% in the last quarter, and up 9% in the last year, and over 2 years up 11%, which we all know home prices have been skyrocketing. This is going to give you a little bit more detailed report into here. This is talking about distressed properties. And remember, this property that we have is one of those kind of distressed properties. It needs a lot of renovations. The kitchen's been gutted. There's been 7 as of the date. None of them are pre-foreclosures or foreclosures. They've already been closed on, so they're owned by a bank. This gives you the sales price median of that again. That means active listings. The first one that we looked at was archived. But look at how these prices are jumping, 33% in the last month. That's insane. So,
Leanne,
yes,
can you do this report for a house that's not listed?
absolutely. In the screen here, when I had to put in the address, it was asking me what radius I wanted. You can be very specific in your address. So I could have, you could put in a property that's never been listed. It's still going to have access to it. Because again, this derives it's from different third-party platforms, such as the tax database, so it will have it available. But this is, a 16-page report. Here's going to get into dropping down the, new listings, pending and closed, and it's going to break out the price ranges for them so they can see that as well. Keep in mind, people are more likely to understand and believe what you can tangibly show them. So this is a lot of data, but if they know what they're looking at with a little guidance from you, you'll really be able to help them come to a, good price point, whether it's a listing or a purchase. So again, that gets downloaded as a PDF. You can send that on to your client then as an attachment on the email, or print it out and take it with you. Okay. Anyone have any questions on that? Good so far? Yeah, RPR is an awesome tool. And again, you can change the type of report that you want. If we wanted to maybe reconsider it for a seller's report, it gives them, again, activity that's going on in the market. But how it's going to affect them as a seller. Let's go ahead and put a property address in here. As Mary said, can you search for any address? Yes. So I'm typing in a specific property address that's not currently listed. Hit submit here. Found it. Go down in here, personalize your report. You can include our recipient's name. Put my Emily in there again. And let's take a look at numbers. We'll have that downloaded to us. We'll run the report. Again, that's going to take, just a couple minutes there. And let's see what the seller's report will generate for us here. After we get another view of this report, then I'm going to go ahead and switch gears over to Realist, because a lot of people are asking about pulling address lists and customizing some labels to put on postcards to send out. That you can still do in Realist. So we'll jump over there in just a second here. See where our report is. Being generated. Grab a sip of water here. Just to remind you, I will send everybody that's on here a recording of this, so you can have it for your own use later today or anytime. Let's see. All right. It's finalizing it, so we'll have it here in just a second. This is very good too if you don't necessarily have, to go to listing presentation and you know that you're meeting specifically with these people. Very customizable just to be a one-stop in and out. Okay. I think we kind of tend to look at our listing presentations as being more of a marketing piece, whereas this is more centered around the specific property. So again, you could always have this in hand as well. And everything goes slower when you watch the clock. Any questions on that up to speed yet? Nope, we're just gonna wait for this to pop up for us. All right. You can always click on view sample on the right-hand side too, next to the report name. This one here says it could be up to 81 reports because it pulls some pretty historical data. So you can definitely kind of splice that out. You don't want to walk into a listing with, 100-page reports, spiral bound in a notebook or anything, but it's going to pull up very specific information on the property itself, as well as historical data of nearby comparables. Oh, come on, let's get this going. These do get archived as well, so that you can, just by clicking on reports, pull up any reports that you've run before. There we go. All right, pulls up the property picture from the auditor site. Like I said, this is not listed right now. This picture definitely came from the auditor site. Gives a view of the street and the current estimated view, which is an RVM, which was as of the end of February. With that RVM range, remember on the Vine Street, it said it had an AVM because it didn't have enough historical criteria to give it an AVM, or I'm sorry, RVM. The RVM is a little bit more precise because it has more current data. Okay, so then the range here is falling in from 340 to 390. It's gone up 19,000 in the last month. So the property value is going up $20,000, 13% in the last 12 months. It does kind of give you where the analysis is coming from and the disclosure here. Pulls up facts about the house, and this is all going to be based off of the tax record, of course. Any other extended home facts on it, such as if they had square footage, maybe if they had added on something, it's going to pull it again from the auditor's site, so it's going to pull up from there. School district information, historical pictures. So this does pull from the last time it was listed on the MLS. And then it gets into some of the property history as far as value and how it's fluctuated. All of these are upward trends, which you can't complain about. Seller's report, this is going to pull from the auditor as well. And where it's getting the values from, any listing activity, any financing activity would be like a refi. So the property was appraised and that was a record. And then it's going to dive into the market activity and what the medium home price is, listing price, medium days on market. Now it's saying that it's 81 days. That's over a long period of time. Let's go, yeah, from 2020 to 2021. So again, a lot of concrete, tangible information that you can certainly send. The market health, this is just a preview of what they're thinking the market's going to do and how the medium prices are going to fluctuate. They're saying this is going to hold steady, through it has held steady through even July of 2018. So if anything, it's going to solidify maybe the number you've come up with throughout your CMA. So when we go back to our scenario of, Emily wanting to write an offer on that house on Vine Street, we saw that the AVM, even though it's a little vague on some historical data, was up to 179. With that being said, knowing what the market's doing right now, maybe suggest that we go in just a little over list price to be aggressive and know that the value is still going to be there. if that's a piece of advice you wanted to give, her for writing on that house. But there's a seller's report. Anybody have questions on that? It kind of just ends out with some comparables. It does pull up comparables from the area. So certainly something you could look at, kind of compare. This is active listings. Obviously, it's a little bit bigger than the subject property, but it's giving you an idea what the market is doing. And then they have side by side. Yes.
The auditor site many times has multiple photos. Can we select which photo we want to use?
No. Unfortunately, no. It's going to take the primary, just because when like RPR is mining for information off of like the auditor site, it doesn't have access to subsequent steps. It's always going to take that initial data, so it's always going to be the first photo that's available.
Okay.
I hear you though. So, but that's just in generating this. Now, on a side note, if you do have the software like Adobe Acrobat, you could switch out that main photo on here. Just by downloading the photo that you do want, you could switch it out. Adobe Acrobat gives you the ability to edit the PDFs, so you could switch out the photo there. Which obviously this isn't a very appealing photo, but that's what they had. So
nice telephone pole.
Right. Utility easement. You can't even see the house. Somebody might like that. So, all right. Any other questions on RPR there? Nope. All right. I'm going to jump back onto MLS, and I want to go into Realist. You can access Realist by clicking on the tax ID number. If you maybe wanted to access information for a property that's not currently listed, if you go to a listed property and click on the tax ID number, just like I had just done, and click on Launch Realist, which we'll do in a second, you can search by address. Okay, but this is pulling up the information that's available for this property specifically. It does give you a direct link to the auditor. So if you were to go ahead and click on the tax ID number again, it's going to take us to the auditor and the profile page for there. This is in Hamilton County, so it's pulling up that one. If I click the back button, it will take me back to the Realist here. It has last assessments and taxes for the last 3 years, right? 2017, 18, and 19. Characteristics of the house, have the square footage. If you notice here, some of the remarks say MLS. That means that it's reporting what with the last listing had it listed at, because you'll see sometimes if maybe they've added a bedroom to the house, it will say MLS 3 tax 2, which means the tax record still has it as a 2-bedroom, even though the MLS is showing it as a 3-bedroom. So that's something to look at, because appraisers pull this up too, and they're going to see that, and that's going to bring about this questionability of, is it truly a 3-bedroom? How did they get that fitted in there? Does it have a bedroom, egress, and so forth? So pay attention to that when you're running some numbers for properties on that. Features about the house, as well as, what we saw, if they got any additions besides a porch or a garage. Here's that sell score. This is based on a metric of how long it's been listed, how long it's been owned, how long it's been listed, last time of listing. It's saying that it's got a very high rating of selling soon. Well, obviously it's listed, so it's right on there. Has a sell score. This is a score that's created, and it has them kind of defined down here a little bit of all those metrics that they took into consideration: how long it's been owned, last time it was listed, and how the value is increasing on the property. It's giving it a real AVM, which is automated value module, of 143,000. Now remember, it's listed at 170 and RPR had it 179, and the range here is a little bit lower, but this is taking from the auditor site. So, and those numbers are based on the auditor's assessed value. So it's always going to be lower than the MLS and the RPR. So this is kind of just like your safety net, if you want to look at that. I would never use these numbers to write a price opinion, but it gives me the safety net of kind of knowing where I'm at with regards or relation to the auditor, okay, and their assessed values. It does pull up the last listing of the property and when it was and what the status was. Then it also has last market data. and mortgage information. So if they refinance, it's going to show those additional mortgages here on the record. If it's ever had a share sale notice, in lieu of foreclosure, it's going to have those reported as well. Okay. If I want to go ahead and launch Realist here and maybe get to another address so I could maybe make some labels or street around. Once it pulls up the property details here, you can click on that you want to run a search. So I want to go back here. And it's going to pull up the quick search, or if you have a saved customized search. We're going to do a quick search, and I'm going to type in the address I'm looking for. Hit the return button. And went and found my other address I was using, the Field Zertle one. So it wasn't listed on MLS. I got into Realist. I ran the search. It's pulled up the property. It's going to give me access to all the same information as if I had clicked on that tax ID. If I click on the tax ID here, it's going to take me to the auditor. It's going to show me all the assessed values for the last 3 years, as well as taxes. It's going to show me the characteristics of the house, what it's been listed at. Here's that MLS, tag again, number of parking spaces. And I think this is showing up here because that's a newly created field in the MLS where they didn't have it before. So it's going to populate through to here as well. And with that notation that it came from the MLS. Any other features about the house? Here's the sell score. Again, up to 1,000. They're a little over half likely to sell. Might be something you want to look into. Here's the AVM. If you remember when I put up an RPR, it said it was like 365 or 364 or something. And here it's got it down at 253. Again, this is based on that assessed value from the auditor, and the range is displayed here with the increase, the appreciation of the house. Last time it was listed and sold. Any other financial sales data? Here's that mortgage history. And no other judgments on there. It does include the property map as far as a plat of it, very quick plat, footprint of the house. You could print this report to have it with you, or you could email it to them. You can customize your email. It could just be a quick link, excuse me, to the information, or to the consumer of the information that you're seeing right here. If we look up here at the top menu, it says comparables, market trends, neighbors, neighborhood profile, assessor map, flood map. I want to grab the neighbors. This is going to give you that address list. Once you click on neighbors, it's going to pull up a map, and it limits it to like 20 people. You can change this up or down, but it's giving you enough criteria that you could create like a CMA through this, or you could create that mailing labels through here. Okay, it is part of the HOA back here, so that's why it's pulling up the ones on the palmettos right behind it. Zoom in or out, but as you're going down, it's going to put the neighbors side by side so you can see how they compare. Let me pull my menu back down here. You can customize the view from here. You can continue to see more neighbors by scrolling to the right-hand side here. You could click on the specific neighbor and it will pull up the address for you. When you go ahead and hit print here, you want to go ahead and hit customize print. It's going to ask you what you want out of it. You can hit proceed here, and it's generating a PDF for me to have, which will be 5 pages. And it downloads it into a PDF for you. So again, something you could open up and take with you. And there it is through here. All right. But if you wanted to kind of grab an idea of what streets you want, maybe for a bulk mailing, by pulling up the map here, you'll be able to zoom in and see what the street names are, and you can write those down. I don't know if a lot of you use like Express Copy or Express Docs, and it'll ask you if you want to put in specific streets to do an EDDM, every direct door mailer. This is where you can grab those street names from and then input them into that third-party printing service. Okay. You're able to customize your views here. Let's go ahead and click on, let's see. I'm going to get into my labels. I'm going to click on the back button here. Nope, hold on. They've changed our menu around a little bit here. Go back into my neighbors. Custom view. No, I don't want my map. Mailing label, display mailing labels registered. Okay, very good. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for. House and properties. All right. Sorry, I'm not seeing my email, my mailing labels here. All right, well, that kind of epically failed right there. I have my mailing label as an option. Okay. All right, well, when all fails, click on the help button on the right-hand side here. Ways to work with search results, creating mailing labels. All right, run the search, which we did. On the search results tab, make sure all the properties you want to include are selected, and then click on create labels at the bottom of the search results table. Awesome. Here we are. So I had only put in the one property here. If I go ahead and take out my address here and put in Fields Earl and run that, here's where it's going to pull up all the properties on Fields Earl Road. I've got them all selected. There's 235, and I can hit labels from here. And this is going to by default pull up all those Avery templates that you have. So one of the streets that had pulled up there was Palmettos. If I want to create labels for Palmettos, going to pull all of it wants a property suggestion. Now I want all of them. Cincinnati, Ohio 45249. Let's see if that brings us up more. Oh, I know it's in there. There we go. This is that street off of behind Fields Earl. It's going to pull up all my Palmettos, and I can create labels from that. And it's going to create it into a Word file in that Avery template that you can go ahead and just print right out. Let me show you what those look like. I clicked on the file that was just downloaded. It's going to open up Word for me, and here's those labels. Okay. Any questions on that? So again, the labels are created from running a search just by street name. You might need to put in the city and zip code, and the labels option appears on the bottom. Were you going to say something, Mark? Okay. All right. Any questions on that? I know I've thrown kind of a bit of information out to you, but that's what I wanted to introduce you to today. So again, we can wrap up if we don't have any questions, and I can send you a link to this recording so that you can kind of go back at it on your own and run some reports, run a CMA, set up a client portal, and generate some labels to mail out. Let's get geared up for the spring market. Anybody have any questions in here? We're good? Yes, sir. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off, and I'll send you a link to this. I hope you have a great day and a successful week.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.